Hey, First Baptist Little Rock, Pastor Jonathan here with Tamara and Jerry, and we wanted to give you a few updates on some things going on around the church. Guys, who would have ever imagined that we would have been middle of August and trying to make our fall plans in the middle of the pandemic? I know we've all talked about this, but there is a little bit of tension that we feel when it comes to plans to reopen. We want things back to normal, yet we want to do it in a responsible way. And there's lots of opinions on exactly how to do that. There are some that think that we've waited too late to reopen, and there's others that think and hurt and even offended that we would even consider reopening. But you know, tension is not always a bad thing. When properly applied, tension can actually hold things together. And it's really what we do with that tension that matters. And so I wanted to spend a little time today just talking about how we're going to stay focused on Christ, and as it relates specifically to programming in the fall. What are you guys hearing as it relates to opening the church this fall during the pandemic?
You know, one thing that I keep hearing is that school is a major deciding factor for a lot of parents. For whatever reason, parents seem to be more comfortable returning back to church if schools are back in session, maybe things are going okay, seeing how all of that pans out.
Yeah, one of the questions I get, the main question I get, is when are things going to come back to normal? When will things return to normal? I miss choir, I miss orchestra, I miss children's choir. Of course, I hear a lot about the music stuff, but the biggest thing I get by far is, what about the tree?
Yeah. So Jerry, what about the tree?
Yeah, you know, it breaks my heart to say that there's no way we can do the tree. I've been polling our faithful people for months now, and I don't even have half of them willing to come to rehearsals right now and sit close. And it wouldn't be responsible either. So the tree this year is a no-go, but not all things would be a no-go. But the tree for sure right now would be a no-go.
You know, one of the things that I've heard is how much people have missed each other in their small groups and in their Bible studies, life groups, community groups, men and women Bible studies. And so, Tamara, what do you think about resuming some of the groups?
You know, that's a great question. We have some life groups that have been meeting for a little bit here on campus that haven't needed childcare, and they've started back with smaller numbers. We've been watching to kind of see what accommodations we might need to make for them, and so we've kind of decided that on Sunday, September 13th, we're going to be starting back with all life groups that want to meet can come back on campus, and we'll follow proper guidelines such as wearing a mask, social distancing, but we're so excited to meet again in person, and we're also going to be resuming our men's and women's Bible studies after Labor Day as well. We're going to have a Tuesday morning option and a Wednesday evening option. You know, I know all three of us are involved in a community group, and that was one of my favorite things pre-pandemic was our community group. It was just something about gathering in our kitchen, eating together, and then spending time with friends and God's Word. So we know that community groups will have to look pretty different for a while, and so Jonathan, you and I are actually going to meet with all of the adult life group and community group leaders to come up with creative ways that we can safely gather in the fall. And we've tossed around ideas such as meeting in the church parking lot and letting the kids ride bikes while groups meet in circles. And so we realize it might be a little bit before we're all back around a table sharing a meal, but we're committed to figuring it out because we think that community is more important now than ever before.
Yeah, and so much of our community is revolved around food. I hate to say it, but one of the casualties of COVID-19 on our Wednesday night schedule will likely be our Wednesday night meal. We just can't quite figure out a way to serve food in a safe and responsible way to our Wednesday night crew. But know that you can pick up food, and we'll have a space dedicated for families to sit and eat as you get ready for all the different things that go on a Wednesday night. So starting September the 9th, we're going to resume a lot of our midweek programming. Things like the pastor's Bible study will be live streamed, and it will be live for those of you that are here. Options for in-person and online women's Bible study, men's Bible study will be taking place on Wednesday nights. The kids program, youth programs will be back into full swing. Jerry, I know Wednesday nights are a big night for you in the worship ministry. What are you thinking as far as Wednesday nights in the fall?
Yeah, one of the things I've been able to do in talking with the different people talking about the tree and polling folks about the tree is asking them about choir, orchestra, all sorts of worship activities. And folks, what I've found is that many of you are like me. And I miss choir, I miss orchestra, and I'm committed to trying to start them in October. We'd like September to go through, and let's see how everything settles down. And I know the governor's guidelines and the recommendations even laid out for the public schools about being careful in choir settings. We're willing to overcome those by doing the right thing in the choir room and moving people around and having a rehearsal, because frankly, without the tree, we're not going to have 150 people in the room. But we do have a bunch of people that love to sing, and we want to use them in worship. So in October, we'd like to start choir and orchestra back and just see if we can make it work in the not only the time frame that we have, but the space that we have. And one more thing, we've in meeting with the leaders and talking with them, we're not going to do any of the children's choirs programs for right now. Because of those same things about the pandemic and singing and having masks, it's not prudent for us to do that right now. We'll just have a limited children's activities, but it won't include any kind of children's choir at this point.
Yeah, I know some of our kids are going to be really disappointed about that. And speaking of kids, with Mary's departure, many of you probably have questions about childcare on Sunday and Wednesday nights. Tamara, what could you tell people about childcare?
Mary's done a great job throughout this, talking to churches in our city and spending a lot of time talking about some best practices. Deanne Tate has worked so hard on preschool protocols, making sure parents know what to expect. And so we are excited that we're going to be offering childcare on Sundays and Wednesdays, starting Wednesday night, September 9th. Now, parents of preschool kids, you should know that the biggest change is going to be signing your child up to let us know that they'll be in the preschool area. We're going to do this for space. We're going to have lower ratios in the classrooms, and we'll be doing things that you're likely used to everywhere, such as temp checks and all of that. But we're excited to have the kids back, and we think they're excited to come back.
Yeah, I know that's an added step to reserve a spot in the preschool area, but this is the one area we want to make sure we have enough volunteers and enough space for. And so we're definitely not going to turn someone away, but it's so helpful if we know when people are coming. And so just be sure to watch your inbox for that. Slayton and Mary have been working really hard the past few weeks on plans for our students and children for the fall. And we have two different plans. We have one plan if school is in session and it kind of looks a little bit normal. And then we have a whole nother plan if schools go back into quarantine. And it's going to be different than the spring. We've got lots of new and creative ideas to engage our students in the fall if by chance they are at home. Jerry, what can you tell the church about the church finances and budget?
Okay. Can I jump back to something I forgot to say a moment ago? And that is that I know kids will be disappointed we're not going to have children's choir at first year, but I've talked with Miss Stockholm, Melanie Stockholm, and we're fully planning to do a children's musical right after the first year.
They'll be excited
So
to get
somewhere
that.
between January and March, we hope that things are settling down and we can figure out a way to do this. And so we've not abandoned the children's choir program. We're just not going to start them up at first because we want to kind of feel it out first. As far as budget and finance goes, I want to thank you, First Baptist Little Rock people, for supporting the church, because our budget is doing well right now. And in talking with Paula Kennard, our finance chairman, and talking with the staff and my pastor, we feel like the most prudent and responsible thing to do would be to take the current budget we already have and just keep using that. We'll go ahead and close a fiscal year at the end of August. But starting September 1, we're going to keep the same budget that's already been approved and keep it going forward until some normalcy develops and we can figure out what's going to happen. We have more unanswered questions from our pastoral staff than we've ever had before. Am I going to have camp? Am I going to have this? Are we going to have children's choirs? Are we going to have VBS? And we don't know. So we don't really know how to budget for things when we don't know when that normal schedule is going to settle in. So when that time happens and we can see momentum toward normalcy, we'll come back to the church through the finance team and through the proper channels, and we'll develop a budget and present it to the church that will take in the rest of the fiscal year.
Another thing we found out from our survey is that senior adults, a lot of them are ready to meet again. So can you tell us a little bit about what that might look like?
Yeah, in the survey, we found that most of our senior adults are still going to stay at home, and we understand that. Want to encourage you. We'll be glad when you come back, but during this time, please, no pressure to come to church. But we did find that quite a few of you are ready to come back, and Jay's planning on starting things like First Friday in October, game days. He's even going to be doing some prayer walks that are new for this fall. Speaking of Jay, he's also planning on doing several men's activities. He's going to do the fun trap shoot, fish fry again this fall, and so be watching for that. One of my favorite things that Jay does with the men is the Bago tournament, and I just want to remind everyone that Jerry and I are the reigning champions of the Bago tournament. We'll be looking forward to that again, and just a few things to kind of get back to a little normalcy.
So just to recap, the big ideas that we have here in general are we're going to begin back on campus after Labor Day. And then our children's and student ministry are going to have some really exciting plans that they're going to come out with and let us know about. And the last thing we want to let you know is make sure you watch your inbox for updates in the event that we have to move back online quickly.
We really appreciate your flexibility up to this point. Our congregation has been so good about being willing participants in protocols that have made reopening successful and safe. And so on behalf of the staff, we want to thank you for that, and we look forward to brighter days ahead. God bless, and I hope to see you on Sunday.